Hey, I am Aris. I'm an Agile coach, and we are here in the Agile Singapore 2015. Welcome. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Steven. I'm currently working in IDA, Infocom Development Authority of the Singapore Government.
Welcome.
Hey, hi, I'm Vadivelan. I'm again an Agile coach from Cognizant and currently working for
Fantastic. So yesterday we had some session, right?
Right.
Yesterday morning. Can you discuss about that? What's the topic and how it went well?
Yesterday we were talking about scaling Agile in the Singapore Government. So we touched on a couple of topics. Can broadly categorize them into how do we evangelize Agile adoption in the government agency, how do we do Agile for high impact large scale project, and how do we scale Agile development beyond software development.
Fantastic. So when you talk about that Agile, scaling Agile in government, so can you brief about that? Like what kind of, how you scale and what kind of method you used and what is the contract?
Yeah, again, see, there are a number of techniques and methods that are available in the market, but we wanted to really try out and experiment and then really scale it. So as Steven was mentioning, we wanted to scale it in three different areas. One is, we have piloted Agile, how we can spread Agile across other agencies, and then how we can really try out large-scale Agile programs, maybe Agile in multiple teams. And then I also wanted to take, say, how Agile can be taken up beyond software development. So those are the three areas that we were focusing on. And while we do this, we also thought we would formulate a community called Agile Center of Excellence to harvest all the best practices and experiments that we are doing so that it can be leveraged into the other parts of the government at a later stage.
Right. We didn't really use any particular framework, but kind of mixtures of various frameworks like Scrum, LESS, and XP, and pick the best out of these frameworks and put them to use.
Oh, fantastic. And also there's a topic about contracts.
Right.
I was also attended your session and there was a lot of questions about that.
Right, yeah, lots of questions.
So yeah, so what do you feel about like how the contract need to be, especially in government, especially like when you compare like corporate and the government, it might be a little bit different. So what do you
Right.
feel about that?
Definitely, and it's very different because after all, in government, you're spending taxpayers' money. You need to be more fiscally prudent and more accountable to the money spent compared to in the private sector where you have more free leeway. Definitely, in fact, if you ask me, this is one of the biggest opportunity we had to have this agile contract in the Singapore government, where with this agile contract or procurement framework, we actually help to empower many government agencies to procure agile development professional services, which all along government has been outsourcing most of the IT project rather than doing in-house. So this is a very, very important, big leap, milestone for the government to embrace agile.
Just to add to that, right, if you look at it from the contractual perspective, since it is government as well as since it is taxpayers' money, the policy was the contract or the software needs to be sold only for a specific scope, meaning we should go with fixed price contracts only, and time and material may be the right option. So again, as we know, Agile and fixed price typically don't go well. So it was a bit of a challenge on how to really institutionalize Agile, but still have the fixed scope, fixed price contract model. And again, Steven was one of the co-creators for this procurement framework and has done a really fantastic job in making sure how the framework works.
Okay, so can you give that a little bit more detail about that framework? How it is different from the corporate the framework, the other framework?
Okay. Traditionally, just typical typical government contract for ID project, you need to have a requirement specs, or in the private sector they call it the BRD, business requirement document, FRD, and then followed by a technical spec, and so on and so forth, which is very ironclad because of the need to have uncertainty, right? In specs, they worry about scope creep. So has been all along this approach, in the past, before the Agile contract was being formulated more than a year ago. For the Agile contract, it's very, very different because it goes by more of story points. Yes, you will have a high level like project vision and what is your goal and objective, for undertaking this IT project. But at the same time, the detail are not as ironclad like the traditional waterfall. Rather, you are able to swap requirements, change requirements, as long as the total story points which has been awarded or awarded does not change by the end of the engagement. So thereby it allows the government agencies to take a more exploratory approach or empirically discover what do they really need, what is the key features and what is the best way to go about achieving and reach the product vision.
Just to add one more point on that, right? So we have the product backlogs, right? That is being there in the RFQs itself, right? So it is going to be at a high level, which covers the product vision. And suppliers also, when they respond with the proposal, they can also give their values. So understanding this is the feature or functionality of the system that needs to be developed, they can also bring in more user stories as optional items which can add more value to the whole system. So it's not like, again, we are trying to do the collaboration here between the government agencies and the suppliers in building a common system. So that is one more thing that we were able to accomplish using this framework.
So what type of challenges you are facing in terms of vendors and in terms of government agencies?
Okay. One of the biggest challenge we faced was in procurement world. There's these three guiding principles: fair, openness, transparent, and value for money. So it is difficult, to have requirements that are. How do you have a collaborative relationship with the vendors even before the contract is been awarded? Because if you were to let vendor A know more about the scope of the project, the vendor B, you're not being fair, right? So that is very challenging. So what we have done was we actually have an Agile Clinic to bring together the awarded suppliers in the Agile contract qualified suppliers and have a more collaborative session with the government agencies. They're all invited, and then they can actually collaborate and talk about the scope and the various features and work it out while ironing out working out the user stories and the product backlog before the actual procurement. And Vadi actually helped a lot in this part. He helps to facilitate the Agile Clinic, which we run on a regular basis to help the whole of government.
Just to stepping back on this, right? So there are actually two parts in the contract. One is the Agile bulk tender, so wherein it is being floated and the suppliers are being shortlisted. So the qualified suppliers who can do Agile execution are shortlisted. And so the Agile Clinic, which Steven was explaining, so people from those pre-qualified suppliers are invited. So the experts or Agile coaches from the pre-qualified suppliers would be part of the Agile Clinic. They also have the agencies part of the Agile Clinic. So they really get collaborative, and even before the RFQs are awarded, they are collaborative, and hence it improves the trust between them. That's cool.
So when you talk about the Agile Clinic, so is it like one day or how it is currently doing?
So it's basically a half a day kind of a workshop. It happens in an open space. So again, we go by a lot of two fields. Right? So we just allow people to choose, pick and choose whichever sessions are going. So the typical open space, we have to put together a marketplace and people choose the topics, and then we have multiple march running and people participate in it.
The whole intent, the main intent of the Agile Clinic is to help government agencies who already have a project on hand that they want to do agile development, and they are facing challenges, difficulties. Maybe there's some fear or some doubt, uncertainty, like given their knowledge on waterfall, this is how it's been done by an agile. How do you do certain things? What about auditing issues and stuff like that? What is the implication when it comes to agile? This is a platform where they can bring this kind of question there for us, as well as the agile coaches from the water suppliers, to help them.
Fantastic.
So from the overall transformation perspective, if we look back, again, main things which we want to do is first, we need to make the officers aware about Agile. That we are doing through evangelization. But then next thing is we need to find a way to make them use Agile. That's why we have devised the procurement flow. So they will be able to start using it. And then after they get into the journey, if they have any kind of challenges or any kind of fear, that's where we have Agile Clinic for them to bring it over and then clarify about it, so that they always have some helping hand during their journey.
Yeah, this might be last question. So, how you see the agile in government for another 5 years? How you see the long term?
I think it's the momentum we're currently having is really fantastic. Since the Agile contract was been out more than a year ago, on average we are receiving like sometimes between 2 to 3 Agile RFQs per month, and we see a lot of people showing interest, especially on the senior management level. They are very supportive of this Agile development movement, and we firmly believe that this is the way to go moving forward.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you for giving a brief session about agility in the government. Thank you for that.
Thank you for the time. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to you.
Thank you.